everyone. This is Bishakha Jain, and today we will be talking about why executive presence is the cardinal for cybersecurity rostrum. But before that, a quick introduction about myself. I work as the director and Indian ambassador of the Cybersecurity Global Alliance. I work with IBM as my day's job as a senior consultant, and I am also chosen the associate lead for the Education and Awareness Tower for WISE IBM India chapter. WISE is IBM's community for women in cybersecurity, and its full form is Women in Security Excelling. I'm the brand ambassador and advisor for the Women in Cloud Network, and I'm also the ambassador for the International Imposter Syndrome Awareness Day, and I serve as the council representative of the Public Safety and Security Council, West Bengal, India. So that was a quick roundabout of who I am, and now let's begin with the topic executive presence, what it is. So, first of all, let's break two most important aspects of today's topic. First, executive presence. Second, cybersecurity. We start with cybersecurity first because it's about Techno Day, right? So, what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is defined as people powered perpetual innovation, as defined by Dr. Mansoor Hasib in the book Cybersecurity Leadership. Because while technological dynamics keeps changing, it is the human factor that serves as the weakest and the strongest link in the world of cybersecurity, which happens to be a deep and a very vast ocean in itself. There are umpteenth number of ways you can conveniently break into the domain of cybersecurity, no matter where you come from. Next, what is executive presence? The fact is, many of us find executive presence is a woolly and elusive concept. Executive presence rests on three pillars, which are also known as the three universal pillars: how you act, gravitas; how you speak, communication; how you look, presence. Gravitas is the core characteristics which holds 67% of the component, signaling that you know your stuff cold, that you can go six questions deep in your domain of knowledge, is more salient than either communication, which is 28%, or appearance, which is 5%. Because security isn't for the weak hearted, and it's constantly evolving. And as wisely quoted by Charles Darwin, it's not the strongest of the species that survives, not the most intelligent. It is the one most adaptable to change. Cybersecurity constantly keeps evolving, keeps changing, and so does is the importance of executive presence in it. Predicting intellectual horsepower underpins gravitas, but there's more to this attribute than being the smartest girl or guy in the room. It's about signaling that you not only have the depth and heft, but also confidence and credibility to get your point across and create buy in. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. So, when your enterprise or venture is under extreme pressure, in fact, projecting confidence and grace under fire was the number one peak of senior executive who were asked to identify what constitutes executive presence. However, gravitas alone is not enough unless you are empathetic and authentic enough, unless you convince everyone that you care, because technology is just a medium. Cybersecurity is beyond technology. Cybersecurity, it's not a state, but a process. Modern cybersecurity has moved from a static 1991 model of information security to modern dynamic model. In such a model, data exists in three possible states: transmission, storage, and processing. Cybersecurity seeks to maintain confidentiality. Right people have the access to information and the wrong people do not. Integrity, which means information is trustworthy and can be relied upon to make accurate decisions. And availability, information is available when you need it, of systems and information. We use three tools: people, policy, and technology to achieve cybersecurity goals. People are the most critical element of these activities. As a matter of national security, the critical role of people and innovation in cybersecurity must be recognized and accepted. Devastating cycles of intellectual capital loss, a perpetual state of low innovation and reduced teamwork because of contracting and churn has to be obviated. Another major fallacy persists in the minds of many people that cybersecurity is a science, technology, engineering, and math, which we also call a STEM discipline. Cybersecurity is a business discipline. We all are constantly selling in whatever we pursue. Disciplinary diversity of people is essential for a successful organizational cybersecurity strategy. People from almost any discipline, such as sociology, linguistics, psychology, political science, language, art, business, law, finance, criminal justice, or forensic, can succeed in some of the major aspects of cybersecurity and must be welcomed into the field. Indeed, there are critical and cybersecurity education must embrace and teach all aspects of cybersecurity model. People have frequently been maligned as the weakest link in cybersecurity. Those who adhere to this jaundiced view resort to more control, cybersecurity awareness programs, and surveillance of people, which create a police state and stifle innovation. We are not here for that, right? Because nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care, as wisely put by Theodore Roosevelt. Cybersecurity is about protecting the digital space from any intruder that can disturb anyone's peace of mind. Your executive presence determines whether you gain accessibility to opportunity. There's a saying in leadership: all the important decisions about you will be made when you're not in the room. It's true. Whether it's a decision about an important opportunity, a promotion to a critical role, or an assignment to a high visibility project, you won't be in the room. The opportunities you gain access to depends on the confidence you have inspired in the decision makers. And the more significant the opportunity, the more important executive presence becomes. The exploration exploitation trade off is a fundamental dilemma when you learn about the world by trying things out. Since cybersecurity is a huge ocean, there are many things that you can try. There is no end to what you can pursue in this vast and deep ocean. But the dilemma is between choosing what you know and getting something close to what you expect, which is exploitation, and choosing something you aren't sure about and possibly learning more, exploration. The value of information increases the more opportunities you're going to have to use it. Through this principle, one can be rational while making decision because the greater goal of everything we put into is making the world a better place. And that is the only going to happen by making the wisest of decisions. Living life like a computer, stereotypical, deterministic, exhaustive, and exact will certainly manifest this rationality for a cyber security practitioner. We now talk about FOBO, which is the fear of better option because there is so much noise all over the internet. We live in a world of overwhelming choices. And because of the same reason, we are fraught with overanalysis. Technology has only made this issue more profound. Chances that you have experienced FOBO when you have struggled to choose just one from a group of perfectly acceptable outcomes. It's a symptom of a culture which she sees value in collecting and preserving as many options as possible. You might wonder why all of this is so bad. It seems counterintuitive, isn't it? Isn't this supposed to be a privilege instead? The problem is FOBO induces a severe analysis paralysis that it can negatively impact both your personal and professional life. When you can't make decisions with convictions, you tend to waste precious time and energy. So, I'll be talking about 7 steps to build and enhance your own. First, have a vision and articulate it well. One of the most important parts of inspiring confidence is having a compelling vision, a well conceived notion of what you're going to accomplish with your work. It should be appropriate in scale of your level of seniority, and you should be able to communicate your vision flawlessly in any circumstances, whether it's a 3 minutes elevator ride with a senior executive, an offsite with your team, or a dinner with your important stakeholders. A robust, well articulated vision is ultimately how you make your mark. It sets you apart and is a powerful tool for inspiring confidence. Second, understand how others experience you, because the more empathy you bring into the table, the more you will be perceived as a leader. And in cybersecurity, with so much of confidence that has to be imbibed in each one of us practicing, always remember the moment you start in this varied field, you become a leader on your own because you have a lot of responsibility. Responsibility to give back, the responsibility to protect the internet. So people with excellent executive presence have a keen understanding of how they are perceived by others. That's important because as you ascend to more senior levels and your span of control expands, you become increasingly reliant on others for your effectiveness. And before you'll get access to the most senior opportunities, decision makers need confidence that you can handle yourself well in all settings. Gain an understanding of how others perceive you. Consult with mentors, get feedback from supervisor, peers, and subordinates. Make sure to include people who see you in a variety of situations. Third, build your communication skills. Good leadership is ultimately about communication, and people with great executive presence are excellent communicators. Get feedback on your communication and invest time in building communication skills. You need to be an excellent communicator across every medium, in person, written, or virtually, and in every situation, because you might know a lot of hacking, but if you don't know how to report the bugs and the situations, it's futile. And we all dream of climbing up the ladder, right? We never want to look back and fall down, right? So communication skills is the number one skill to rise anywhere in life. Fourth, become an excellent listener. Here's something a lot of people forget. One of the most important communication skills is your ability to listen. People with great executive presence are exceptional listeners. They engage with their full attention, they ask great questions, and they use listening as a way to engage others and explore important ideas. And there's another benefit: the ability to listen effectively demonstrates self-confidence, another critical part of executive presence. And to solve cases or be a problem solver, you have to have that empathy imbibed in you and have the patience to listen what the other person is saying. That makes you a good leader. And in cybersecurity, as I already mentioned, everyone is a leader. Fifth, cultivate your network and build political savvy. People with exceptional executive presence recognize that organizational politics are neither a good thing nor bad. They understand that companies are composed of complex relationships and that there will be sometimes be a diversity of opinions and competing agendas. Organizational politics are simply the natural dynamic that arises when people work together. People with strong executive presence are good at cultivating a network of relationship and developing the political savvy to influence challenging situations in a productive direction, because it's good to learn from everyone and then execute on your own after understanding all the aspects of a scenario. So it's very important to cultivate your network, and networking is important because it opens up your mind. Your mindsets become broadened. The horizon at which you look at things broadens only when you network real people. Sixth, learn to operate effectively under stress. So, how do you behave when the stakes are high? Do you ever appear rushed, flustered, or overwhelmed? Do you lose your patience, or do you have a reputation of being temperamental? Many people make the mistake of believing that looking frenetically busy indicates that their value to the organization. It doesn't. It just indicates they are frantically busy, and perhaps they can't be trusted with any more responsibility. No one wants to see a leader who's overwhelmed. People with good executive presence present themselves as calm, even neat, composed, well prepared, and in control at all times. That inspires the confidence that they are ready to take even more. Next, make sure your appearance isn't a distraction. Now, this has very little to do with cybersecurity, but trust me, when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you take the best of the decisions. It's everything is in the mind. So you have to be very careful what you give out to the world. That energy is very detrimental of where you go in life. Your kindergarten teacher may have told you that neatness counts. It's true. Visual appearances makes a first impression, and first impression, whether conscious or subconscious, are powerful. So that is why we have ppts, that is why we have all the colorful pamphlets, that is why we have a beautiful background image, right? Because everything that we perceive comes first, and perception is reality. If you can dream big, you can soar higher. So that is why appearance should never be a distraction. You want to ensure that your first impression inspires confidence. That doesn't mean trying to look like a fashion model, of course. Rather, make sure your appearance is appropriate for setting and the company culture, and that it is consistent with others at the level you aspire to. Pay attention to your clothing choices, tailoring, and grooming. Make sure there's nothing about your appearance that will distract from the impression you want to leave. These are things about executive presence, and cybersecurity has a lot to do with executive presence. Why? Because everybody in cybersecurity is a leader. And to be a good leader, you have to make sure that everything that you set out counts. Your every effort counts, because that is how you become a good leader. So that was about my time, and that was how executive presence is the cardinal for cybersecurity rostrum. Thank you, everyone. You can reach me out on LinkedIn and on Twitter. My Twitter handle says euphoric mint, and this is my LinkedIn uh, link. You can reach me out. Feel free to ask questions if any. That was my time. Thank you.